In this tutorial, we will take a close look at the PearlWise Unified Grading System and provide directions on the use of the Pearl Grading Board, the Trifold instruction set, the downloadable grading sheets, and learn how they integrate. We will also establish criteria for the ideal grading environment. Pearls are graded on a neutral background, just like the one used for the Pearl Grading Board. In addition to a neutral grading surface, care should be taken to wear neutral clothing. Pearls will pick up colors around them, and wearing a red shirt will actually make pearls appear to have pink overtone that does not exist. You can also use a neutral colored napkin and tuck it into your collar. Pearls are graded using a daylight equivalent light source. Folding lamps like the one available in our online store are perfect because they provide the correct lighting and allow for the correct angle. Set the light parallel to the grading surface and over the grading board. You will need to be directly over the pearls to grade them, about 12 inches, so the light source can be located in front of you with the grading board between you and the light source. The idea is that you should not interfere with the light source, but you should be close enough to the cultured pearls to be able to observe them from above. Now let's take a look at your PearlWise grading board, the trifold brochure, and the downloadable grading sheets. As we observe the way cultured pearls are arranged on the grading board, note that color is on the left, blemishes are in the center, and luster is on the right. With the brochure open, the grading criteria are arranged the same way: color, blemishes, and luster. The value factors on the grading sheets are also arranged in the same order: color, blemishes, and luster. There is one single grading sheet for Akoya, freshwater, white and golden South Sea cultured pearls, and a second grading sheet for Tahitian cultured pearls. Visit the downloads page of the PearlWise website to download the grading forms and the Tahitian color chart. Your final grade will directly correlate to the wholesale pricing charts from the guide, grouped by size, which is the 7th factor. There are 4 basic colors represented on the grading board: white, light cream, medium cream, and dark cream. You can lay the pearls you're grading between 2 color sections of the grading board to determine the color. Then determine the overtone, then record your results on the grading sheet. Body color is observed at the outer rim of the pearl as you stand over the pearls, which is represented by the gray area in the diagram. Overtone, represented by the white area, is observed in the center section of the pearl and includes both color of overtone and strength of overtone. Strong rosé overtone versus faint rosé overtone, for example. Remember to rotate the pearls to ensure that color and overtone are even on all sides of the pearls. As we look at the left side of the trifold instruction set, we find directions for color grading. Your choice of grading options are at the top of the page. Note that there is overlap in the numeric grade. If, for example, your pearl is very, very close to white, but not white, you can still grade it at 8, provided you designate the color description correctly. Light cream in this example. This is done at the discretion of the grader. The center section tells you where to observe body color, demonstrated earlier, and the bottom section of the page shows grading variations for other varieties of cultured pearls. You will need to refer to the Tahitian color grading chart to determine the body color and grade. Remember to use the Tahitian grading sheet too. Also note that when a pearl is dyed, it is graded in the lower commercial range with a 1 or a 2. Both South Sea white and freshwater cultured pearls can have low overtone. Using this example, grade the pearl for the body color, 7 in our example, and make a comment and an adjustment at the bottom of your grading form to accommodate for the lack of overtone. Color and overtone represent 25% of the final grade for all varieties, which is why our grade of 7 is multiplied by 0.25. This differs from the Mikimoto system, which does not generally consider pearl color as a grading factor. They tend to treat it as a part of luster, since color affects luster. Also, our grades are based on the U.S. market, and other cultures may not necessarily prefer a white body color. As we look at the center of the grading brochure, at the top of the page, note that blemishes are divided into 4 grades. For illustration purposes, we numbered them in red from 1 to 4. The grades are clean, lightly blemished, moderately blemished, and heavily blemished. Blemish grades for the cultured pearls on the grading board are in the center section and correspond with the grading chart from left to right. Each strand is attached by a magnet so that you can lift and inspect blemishes from all directions. As with all varieties, the location of the blemishes is an important consideration. Processors frequently hide blemishes near the drill hole, so be sure to inspect in that area when grading. Pearls are graded without magnification, but as you develop an eye for pearl grading, it is useful to observe blemishes and nacre thickness with magnification, so a 10-power loupe is helpful. It is also helpful to rotate the pearls as the grading light will highlight blemishes as they turn. The Akoya oyster is a relatively small mollusk where South Sea oysters are large. Many blemishes imparted to the pearl surface are a result of the mollusk trying to displace the pearl, which it considers an irritant. The resulting blemishes are larger and often deeper on South Sea varieties than on the cultured pearl of its Akoya cousin. It is for this reason that Akoya cultured pearls are graded more critically for blemishes. The cultured pearls on the grading board represent the Akoya standard in terms of depth and severity. The other standards are represented in the center sections of the brochure. What is consistent with all varieties is the quantity and location of blemishes. If a pearl has all over blemishing, regardless of variety, it is a heavily blemished pearl. Note that in this system, South Sea cultured pearls are given a wider range of what is acceptable for blemishes that can be classified as good, which includes what would be classified as fair if the cultured pearls were an Akoya or freshwater variety. This is because South Sea mollusks tend to impart more prominent blemishes. This system accommodates those tendencies. The bottom of the surface quality section details standards for Tahitian cultured pearls, which are given a combined grade for blemishes and luster. They are graded as quality A through quality D. Emphasis is on the location of the blemishes, since overall Tahitian cultured pearls tend to have good luster. Pearl surface quality represents 25% of the final grade, even though in the case of Tahitian cultured pearls, the grade is combined with luster to create 50% of the grade. In any event, note the description and the grade on the appropriate grading sheet. The luster grading section is located on the right side of the brochure. Cultured pearls graded for luster are on the right side of the pearl grading board. It is extremely difficult to photograph the luster of a pearl, so this is an area where having a comparison set is critical. Someone can describe excellent luster as having reflections that are bright, sharp, and distinct, but a point of reference is necessary. The diagram at the bottom of the luster section illustrates luster components. Viewed at the center area of the pearl, the overtone reflection should be bright as well as sharp. This sharpness includes the pinpoint light reflections as illustrated in the diagram. The luster section of the grading board visually defines the concept of luster. This is an area that takes some practice to perfect. As with other value factors, luster is graded by type of pearl. South Sea cultured pearls do not exhibit high luster like Akoya cultured pearls. Because of this, the South Sea cultured pearls' luster descriptions are not as strict as those for Akoya cultured pearls. This is the same numeric difference as was illustrated for surface grading. Freshwater cultured pearls are graded in combination with matching, and cultured Tahitian pearls are graded in combination with blemishes, which was discussed earlier. Now we turn to the flip side of the grading brochure, and we begin with nacre thickness, which is located on the left. Nacre in Akoya cultured pearls grows more slowly than any other variety of cultured pearl. Over the years, as cultivation times for Akoya cultured pearls have gotten shorter, nacre has gotten thinner. We currently grade nacre by its appearance, which includes 3 categories: no comment or acceptable, nucleus visible, or chalky appearance. The bead used for culturing pearls is usually composed of layers of shell, which often appear as stripes. If these layers are visible through the nacre and without holding it directly over a light source, the pearl is described as nucleus visible. This should not be confused with a gap in the nacre where the bead is actually visible because of the absence of nacre. If the nacre is too thin, the Akoya cultured pearl may appear chalky. It is graded as having a chalky appearance. If neither of those conditions exist, the pearl is graded as no comment or acceptable. The nacre thickness illustration shows how the nacre should look through a 10-power loop. While it is not part of the grade, extremely thin nacre can affect the durability of the pearl. This is where you may want to make a comment and an adjustment on your grading sheet. Deduct between 0.5 and 1 point in the adjustment section. Since nacre is no longer a percentage of the final grade, and thin nacre should be accounted for somewhere. Since the nacre grows more quickly in other varieties, thin nacre is not generally a problem and should be graded as acceptable. The nacre can be so thick that you may not be able to see where the nacre ends and the bead begins at the drill hole. White South Sea cultured pearls and white freshwater cultured pearls can have very low luster and appear almost chalky. This is a luster issue, not a nacre thickness issue, and should be noted in the nacre section of your grading sheet. The comments at the bottom of the nacre thickness page offer some guidance for various thicknesses in cultured pearl varieties. In this section, the relationship between cultured pearl size and variety is illustrated. The size chart is in the center of this side of the brochure. While there is some overlap in sizes, the size of the cultured pearl can be an indication of variety, not a guarantee. So other factors must always be considered. All other grading factors being equal, larger cultured pearls sell for more money. It is to the advantage of the pearl farmer to grow the largest pearl possible. The chart at the bottom shows sizes of cultured pearls between 2 and 14 millimeters in diameter. The cultured pearl shape section is on the right side of the brochure. Determining shape is a fairly straightforward process since it involves measuring, as covered in detail in the Pearl Basics tutorial. Take one measurement that is perpendicular to the drill hole and a second measurement that does not intersect the drill hole. Measuring at the drill hole can prevent an accurate measurement. If the difference is less than 2% of the largest measurement, the pearl is round. 2% to less than 5% is near round. 5% or greater with a rotation axis is considered semi-baroque, and pearls with no rotation axis are considered baroque. Caution is advised, as an extremely round Akoya cultured pearl can be an indication of thin nacre, while an extremely round cultured pearl would be graded between 8 and 10. A comment and adjustment on the grading sheet would be advisable, as detailed in the nacre thickness section of this tutorial. A round, thin nacred pearl unfairly increases the overall grade, since shape is 25% of the final grade and nacre thickness is no longer given a percentage grade. The Pearl Value Factors Part 1 has a more detailed section on cultured pearl shapes and differences by variety. The shapes illustrated in the center section gives us a visual comparison of shape variations. As noted with the nacre thickness section of the brochure, in general, freshwater and South Sea variety nacre grows quickly. So while nacre thickness is not usually a concern, rapid growth can cause these varieties to be less round than Akoya varieties. The lower section of this page covers matching. Matching judges the consistency of all value factors and is based on the majority of the pearls. Keep in mind that variation in overtone is not part of the matching factor, as overtone colors can vary. Since pearls are sold in size bands of 0.5 millimeters, the strand should not vary by more than 0.5 millimeters. South Sea Golden, Tahitian, and freshwater pastels commonly have color variations, and well-matched cultured pearls carry a premium. It would be best to explore the market and become familiar with what color variations might be rare. This concludes the tutorial on using the PearlWise Unified Grading System.